For those of you that's the first time, Orange County Forum is a nonpartisan public affairs organization. This is what we do. And today is particularly important, not only because housing is the issue of our time, but also just the wide variety of participants and attendees today. So hopefully you enjoy it. At this time, we want to recognize the people who make everything happen. That's our board members. If the board members could please stand up now that you're sitting down and comfortable and get recognized. Yes. Nice try, Colleen. That was a little slow getting up. And now we have, today's program is not possible without our sponsors. We have our recurring title sponsor, UC Irvine and UC Health, UCI Health. They're here somewhere. Where are they? Round of applause. And today we had an exceptional outpouring of event sponsors. This may be the most sponsor we've had for one program all year. And we really appreciate that. Our event sponsors, first presenting sponsor is Bank of America, who's here. So, and just, the people didn't clap. They're just with other banks. Everyone loves you. We also have Jamboree Housing. NeighborWorks, Orange County. They're here. There they are. And a group known as National Core. We'll have to learn more about them. And last, we really want to express our appreciation for the OC Realtors, our parking sponsor. Without their sponsorship, you'd be paying for parking. Your parking is covered. Hopefully you got a card that you did at check-in. We also are very indebted to our promotional partner, Urban Land Institute, who ran a program this morning right next door and generated a lot of foot traffic here. So it's now my pleasure at this time that as part of the presenting sponsorship role, we have Jeffrey Scala, Senior Vice President of Consumer Lending of Bank of America, to share a few remarks on behalf of our presenting sponsor, Bank of America. Jeff?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Scala, Lending Market Leader with Bank of America. Here's a number that says it all. To afford the average rent in Orange County, about $28.57 a month, a worker needs to earn $58.94 an hour, more than 3 times the state minimum wage. That gap affects teachers, healthcare aides, first responders, the people that make our community run. Affordable housing isn't just a social issue, it's an economic imperative for workforce stability and vitality. At Bank of America, we believe homeownership is key to generational wealth. Through our $15 billion community homeownership commitment, we've delivered $14.6 billion in affordable lending nationwide, helped 55,000 families become homeowners, and granted $588 million in down payment and closing costs assistance. Right here in Orange County, we've helped $312 million in affordable lending. Over 600 families have been helped, and we've delivered $8.8 million in our down payment and closing cost grants. In addition to our grant programs, our partnership with HUD-certified housing counselors through our Connect to Own program help the next generation of clients prepare for homeownership. As one housing leader said, a strong economy starts with stable home. Together, we can make Orange County a place where people who work here can afford to live here. Thank you for letting Bank of America be part of this conversation.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for your generosity to make this program possible and accessible to a wide audience. So now I'm going to do the housekeeping, give you sort of the structure for the rest of the luncheon program. I will do introductions of the panel and the moderator. and then they will come up. You will see a few items on your table to engage. We have a QR code to take a scan and a quick survey. There are also comment cards so that the moderator, the CommLab staff will provide those cards and questions to the moderator for the audience Q&A. Just as a reminder, a question is a phrase or a sentence that ends with a question mark. This is why we do comment cards now. We don't do open mic here like they do at the Improv. But it is helpful. We can get a lot more questions answered if they are relatively concise, but end with a question mark. So now, and also for any of you that are interested or tell a friend, all of our events are recorded and made available on YouTube. And so you can see this event or send it others the link afterwards, which is wonderful, which is why I wore a suit today. So now it's my pleasure to introduce today's panel and moderator. First, we're very pleased that we have Supervisor Katrina Foley, Chair of the OC Housing Trust, who's been a champion for housing for her career, but now as Chair of the OC Housing Trust has really been someone who's driving change and initiatives for housing in Orange County. We have Joel Meyer, who's trying to finish his lunch, but is going to get called up anyway, from Lowe. Christopher Pearson from Intracorp Homes is going to be here on the panel. We also have Avery Evans from SDRE on the panel. And we also have none other than the infamous Michael Massey from Jamboree Housing. There will be a general discussion. The presenters will showcase some of their signature projects in slides, and the moderator will manage it from there. So with no further delay, let's have the panel and the moderator come up. And there, this goes there. Yeah, they're going to take this down. No. And the steps are that way, Michael. We know you want to jump up enough.
Can't wait to make the joke.
Water here in the middle. Be there where you. Just so we.
Wherever your phone will.
Is that for you? I don't have any slides. Is this on? Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I'm Katrina Foley, County Supervisor, representing the fabulous 5th District. So I'm happy to be here. I represent an area that is Costa Mesa all the way to San Clemente. And I can tell you right now, we need more housing in that district. Yes, because we have medical industry innovation, a lot of new medical facilities. We are just the third largest coastal economy in the state. And we have UCI, which is pumping out all of our brain trust, and we need places for them to live. So with that being said, we're going to talk today about some of the challenges with building housing in Orange County, some of the opportunities and the solutions that all of these esteemed panelists have experienced and that I've been part of as well. And so we want to hear what's working, what do we need to fix, and how do we get there? First, I'm going to start by, you heard about the $58 per hour, but I want you to think about this number. In order to qualify for what we call low-income subsidized housing in Orange County, you could make $96,000 a year, okay? Think about that. Think about who makes $96,000 a year. Those are first-time first responders, deputy sheriffs, firefighters. Those are new lawyers who are working in our DA's office, our public defender's office, private sector. Those are nurses, teachers, all of our entry level service providers, and their new architects, graphic designers. I mean, it's literally our workforce. And so that's what our challenge is how do we provide housing for those individuals so they don't move because we need them here. Okay, so we have a great panel of speakers. You heard some of their names. I'll repeat them. Joel Mayer here on my left, Executive Vice President of Lowe. He has the largest scale shopping center conversions. And he reminded me that we met a long time ago when I was on this. Was I on the city council? Or I was the mayor. Okay, well, it wasn't that long ago then. When they then they took over SoCo, which is what I have always said. There should be housing at SoCo. So hopefully someday we'll get there. I know. It might make it work, right? Christopher Pearson, Vice President of Acquisitions for Intracourt Homes, and they build medium scale infill home ownership. Home ownership, that's what I'm always saying. You can talk to my deputy chief. I said, we have so much rental housing. We need to build homes that people can buy so that the entry-level workforce have a path into the middle class and then onward to, upscaling their homes. Brian Doyle, president of I think you replaced Brian.
Yes.
Avery, introduce yourself because I don't have your bio here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Avery Evans. I'm here representing SDRE. I'm replacing Brian Doyle today, our president. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but fortunately, I'm here.
Great. Add another woman to the panel. I always like that. Okay, and they build smallest scale homes, just not accessory dwelling units, which I know a little bit about that because I built one a few years back, and wow, what a relief that was for our family.
Yeah, a little bit of that, a little bit of both. We primarily do housing for the working class, so I'm excited to show you one of our projects that we have today. Anywhere build to rent housing from maybe 5 units to our biggest project in our pipeline, 130 units.
Okay, wonderful. And then finally, my friend Michael Massey, Executive Vice President and Chief Development Officer for Jamboree Housing, talking about innovative housing models. And let me just say, I grill Michael often. I mean, he and Michael Rowan, where'd Michael go? There he is right there. And a couple other developers allowed me to look at their pro formas, to go through line by line to figure out why is it costing $750,000 a unit to build affordable housing? That is not sustainable, right? And then what can the government for these government funded projects do to reduce that cost? And then because of those meetings, we initiated a whole variety of things, including our procurement program. Any of you who don't know about this, if you partner with the county, we will help you reduce your materials costs, lumber, steel, other services even we've added to it by a minimum of 5%. So this is because of the great collaborations that we have. Okay, now on to the program, and you'll get used to this. I just like to do this. Okay, so I want to ask you all, let's start with, we're going to frame the question. We talked about the cost. What are the key economic forces shaping housing development right now? And we'll just go down the row. Avery, we'll start with you.
Mm-hmm. So our company right now is based in San Diego. It's a little bit of a landlocked territory. So we have the ocean to our west, we have the hills to the east, and then outside of San Diego, there's Camp Pendleton up north. And in San Diego, there's an extreme housing crisis. So it's a little bit hard to build in the city of San Diego itself because of this. So we're facing a lot of people with low wages. The average median income in San Diego that qualifies you for low or moderate housing is actually $130,000. So we have lots of people that can qualify for attainable housing programs through certain programs available to us specifically. So we have a really high cost of living. I believe San Diego is just ranked the highest costing city in the U.S. with this housing crisis. So it's really hard for people to find affordable places to live on top of the wages that they're making.
Okay. So wage stagnation, you think, is a contributor to the economic costs of housing. Okay. Joel?
So we're a national group, but we have regional offices everywhere here in Orange County, LA, San Diego, Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Washington, D.C., and Charleston, South Carolina. So we see things, lots of different perspectives, but there's one sort of overriding thing for our projects, which tend to be a little bit larger, is that several years ago, the return on costs required by our investors was about 5% to build apartments. And that has moved upward in the last several years to 6% or higher. And with construction costs going up, right, we don't have a shortage of projects to do. We have we have a shortage of investors that are willing to do the projects, and it really limits what we can do. The demand is there. We tend to really work in those infill markets, and so that would be one of the really big issues, is a capital markets problem. The higher cost of capital from an equity perspective is really an issue. The debt is available. Land prices are high, but you can manage that. But the problem is when the required return has gone up by 20%, it makes it much more difficult to produce that.
Now, is that mostly with private developments, not
Yeah.
including some that might be funded with government funding?
Yeah, that's really private.
Okay.
Without any, there's still inclusionary in each of them, and we have that as just normal, part of the project. But we're not really depending on supplemental support, in terms of government type of help on those, because those are pretty much market rate stuff.
All right. Okay. Christopher?
So, Intercorp Homes, we are a private developer. We specialize in market rate for sale and apartments. So I can echo what Joel has to say on just cap rates and yields and that impacting that side of the business. I would say in Southern California, where we operate, we are seeing the whole gamut. It's really construction costs, which actually we've seen moderate a little bit. But over the last several years, construction costs have really run up and been a driver for our costs. Land prices are in Southern California very high. And overall, those are interest rates. It's all impacting affordability right now.
So, okay, we know what the problems are, and give us an example. And don't worry, Michael, I'll get to you. Give us an example of some models that you have utilized to help address some of those challenges.
So, for
Financial models. I mean, how are you addressing the increase in the cost of construction? How are you addressing sort of the higher return that your investors are expecting?
Well, I think that for us, I mean, we are modeling increases in construction costs when we're underwriting deals, taking that into account. We also like to work with landowners. We try not to be asset heavy on our balance sheet, where we're buying and holding assets for prolonged periods of time. In the development world, time is a killer. So we try to get through our projects and build expeditiously and deliver to market. So we work with landowners as well as our financial partners to try to alleviate the burden of a long land carry. One example with a lot of landowners, we'll try to structure terms with them where we'll have a long escrow period of 12 or even 24 months. And that allows us to work through the entitlements and the permits with the city, the jurisdiction. And then, the enticing thing for the landowner is we'll have deposit payments along the way, or option payments that will make it beneficial for them to stick around and participate with us.
Okay, well, the city entitlement process, we all know, even those who are public officials, that is a challenge, and that continues to be a challenge. And I know Michael's going to probably talk about that. And after I hear from Michael, I'll share a couple of suggestions that I've been making to cities I've been doing this. I was a planning commissioner, city council member, mayor, county supervisor. So I've seen this process, and I've actually seen it's like slowing down, not expediting the permitting process, in my opinion. Michael, what are the economic forces that are impacting your developments? You're purely affordable housing, mostly government funded.
That's right. Yeah. So oftentimes when we're in this environment and I'm talking with my peers who are building market rate housing, I want to differentiate what we do because it is typically subsidized by the government in large part. But the real estate fundamentals are still there. When we're evaluating a potential project, we're looking at three things. One is land and hopefully free land or cheap land. And free and cheap land is part of the reason it's more expensive. Free and cheap land isn't easy. But then the capital structure. Now, our capital structure is typically coming from public sector sources, the low-income housing tax credit, and then funding sources at the federal, state, county, or city level. Those are scarce resources, and you have to compete for them, but they are available. So they're there. We wish that there were more of them, but there is enough there to build housing in California. The third thing that we look at, and this is probably the most crucial, is the political will. So because we have the opportunity to work on multiple deals across the state, how we select which projects we're going to build are which have the potential for feasibility. And a huge portion of that feasibility is what the political process is in getting the funding and getting the approvals necessary to actually complete the project. It's an important part of our evaluation when we're looking at a project from the very beginning.
So, Michael, you and I have worked on a few projects together, and Joel, you and I have worked on a project both in Costa Mesa. I know Carrie was here. I don't know if she's still here, who's our new planning director for the city of Costa Mesa. But we had a senior housing project, 8 years in the making, and started when I was mayor. We just got approvals this year, and then now we're struggling and challenged because of some federal changes that might impact our funding for this project. But what advice would you give to, I see Chris Murray's here from ACCOC. Maybe she could pass this along to the local electeds. What advice would you give to cities in particular if they have a project, they have the political will, they want the project, they've approved the project? What advice would you give for them to give to their planning departments to make it a smoother process, faster, easier? And I'm going to ask each of you for a response on that as well.
Well, I can go first because it's like the early answers and streamline the process, because to get something approved, right, requires how many different of people in the city, between planning and then public works and the fire department and all these other folks. Is there a process by which it's sort of one-stop shopping? Because, you get somebody to say, okay, and then the other person says, well, I don't know about that. And there's these fiefdoms, and, the desire from the city is to have it done. So like when I came to see you, you were like, okay, let's get this going, right? And we sold the property before we could get it going. But the point was, it was refreshing to have that ability. And I think some cities...
and there's still not housing on that site, by the way.
I know. Exactly. Or next door either, right? But I think maybe some of the recent changes to the statewide laws help us, because as developers, we're trying to figure out where are the risks, right? But once you get to the city level, then we really need that partnership, because I think the cities all have said to us in every circumstance, we really want more housing, right? And we're here saying, okay, we'll produce it. And then there's, 18 months of steps, even without CEQA. So if we can get somebody in each of these, city hall to say, okay, I'm going to help you through this process and sort of be the developer, if you will, that would really help.
Okay, Michael.
There are a lot of things I love about California, and this is
your microphone up.
Sorry, the one of the odd things I really love about California is CalPERS, and the reason is because there's a old cliche vision of what a bureaucrat is, what a functionary is inside city government. There was a whole television show about how ineffectual it might be. But what I've found in working and building in California for the past 25 years is that on average, the median person that I'm dealing with as a city staff person is bright, educated, energetic, and wants to get something done. So if the question is, what advice can you offer the elected officials, is you've done a good job of attracting, training, and maintaining smart staff. Trust them, empower them, make them not afraid. Because that's what's driving a lot of the delays is people just are afraid of being wrong and afraid of being corrected by elected officials when they're the experts, they're in the field on a daily basis, they're implementing policy. Empower staff.
Great answer. Yes,
I
clap for that.
I think
Christopher.
that's a key point. We see, so many times there's a lot of really great jurisdictions that we work with that want housing. And sometimes if it gets into the nuts and bolts of the planning side and the technical aspects of the zoning code and public works and engineering, and it is very cumbersome and it takes a lot of time to get through those departments. SB 330 has helped us in kind of laying a roadmap to get city reviews quicker, but we're oftentimes seeing that it's taking 30, 45 days to turn staff comments and going through the process of having, 6 to 8 plan checks on grading permits and things like that. So there are just those aspects that are really in the weeds that are still, elongating that timeline for entitlements.
That's a good point. And I will say, if we are to make this process work better, more smoothly, and more efficiently, we have to streamline the process. And it shouldn't take 8 years to get a housing development approved, because in that 8-year period, guess what? We lost the people that were going to live there. And so we have to make it more streamlined. I had an idea one time, and it was kind of an idea that came out of a variety of different conversations, where if you built it on the front end, like as part of the general plan process, if you had more meaningful general plan community engagement, and you weren't just checking the box, okay, we had a community meeting, check, we're now implementing our general plan. It's basically going to update just like it was 10 years ago. But if you had a more meaningful general plan process where you said, we want to build single family housing here in this area. We want to build rental housing here. We want mixed housing products over in this neighborhood. And then you had more of a ministerial process for the developers to come in. That might actually work, but that takes, again, more political will than maybe we have. Avery, did you want to make any comments on this?
Yeah, well, I can touch on that because the program that we utilize in San Diego actually is ministerial. So that benefits our development.
Well, there we go. We did it.
That really benefits our development. Now, a few years ago, if you asked me advice to the City of San Diego Planning Department, I would have maybe said some more mean things. They were going through a reorganization. It was really hard to reach them, and it was also taking months and months to get these by right permits approved. Now, the City of San Diego has done amazing. There's probably maybe sometimes a week or two turnaround on a lot of our projects. So right now, I say keep it up.
All right. Well, very good. We'll have to check out San Diego. So let's get back to workforce housing. And remember that number I gave you, $96,000 a year. What are each of you doing to help build us more workforce housing here in Orange County, both on the rental side and the home ownership side? It is so important. I know we have our school board member here who is also a representative from the United Way, Michelle Murphy, Newport Mesa. They have a site that is right adjacent to what is now going to be a very beautiful coastal park. It used to be called Banning Ranch, and it's now Randall Preserve. And there's some proposers that have they've proposed, I'm putting her on the spot. I know this is my pitch to you. They've proposed having, okay, great. They've proposed having ownership homes that are priced in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. So talk to us about how is it possible to build ownership homes for our workforce in that range. Can you do it without government assistance?
I can say I think it's very hard. I mean, and part of it is, from my perspective, we're doing fairly large redevelopments of regional shopping centers, and our land costs and returns are really too low to get that done. Obviously, we do have all of our affordable housing within the project, and we're happy to do that, and that's always part of it. But starting to build for sale on a
But what if you did it as a flat? It was like an apartment that's for sale, and you have the ground lease.
Yeah, we haven't considered that, but yeah,
Well, maybe
so
think about that.
yes,
They do that in Seattle, in San Francisco,
right,
New
yeah.
York, and actually in Irvine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
something to consider.
certainly can think about it.
Any other?
So Intercorp, we are working on a stacked flat project right now, and it is very, very difficult. I think one solution on the home ownership side is a lot of times density, and we've seen certain cities that are even requiring or having density minimums that to promote more housing. The problem with the density solution is that the higher density you go, the more expensive the construction costs are. And so we're finding, I mean, right now we are building a stacked flat project in the airport area. And to make that pencil, we really need about $1,000 or more square foot of revenues on the sales side to overcome the cost hurdles of doing a subterranean parking garage with your stacked flats and your elevators and amenities. Also, the insurance cost on that is very expensive in California. So it doesn't work as well as in other states, but it is a solution that we're continuing to explore.
Thank you. I'd love to learn more about that. Michael.
On the affordable side, and we used to do a lot more home ownership for the affordable market. The problem really stems from the current policy, and so it would not require an increase in resources, but it would require a reallocation of resources. There is a mechanism through the low-income housing tax credit to build ownership. It's complicated and works over time, but with the similar investment that a city or a county would make on a rental development, they can make a similar investment on a potential ownership, but it requires educated staff doing something different, a little bit outside the box, and so it has some complexity to it, but it's absolutely possible.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to a different topic. And I guess this is in line with the topic that we just discussed. What are some specific policy changes that you think, not state law changes, because most of the locals, they don't have impact on the state laws, right? But what would you recommend as a specific policy change at the local level? I mean, we talked about practices, making sure that you don't get 7 redos and that the process is a little bit more tightened up. But are there policy changes? Are there zoning code changes? Are there other land use planning changes that you would recommend in order for us to build housing faster, especially for our workforce?
I wish this was a take-home exam because I have to think about that one.
Okay.
I've got 2 real quick. So this has been, and this doesn't have anything to do with affordable, but I've always been a big fan of single stair reform, which is slowly starting to happen.
Say it again.
Single stair entrances to multifamily development. It allows you to increase the density on smaller sized units in the 20 to 30 unit range. But it's tampering with the fire code a little bit, but it's proven and it's been being adopted across the nation. The other thing that I would
hold on, Michael. Does everyone know what single stair means? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, you all know more than I do.
The other thing, in order to encourage affordable housing, there've been a number. The legislature in California has been pretty innovative and pretty proactive. But one of the ways they've done that is through the entitlement process, which is very, very helpful. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for anything that streamlines the entitlement process. The thing that remains untouchable and as much of an obstacle as anything else is the building code. So what some of the things that have been talked about within the affordable industry are we have a statewide density bonus. So if you're providing affordable housing, you can override in the entitlements that are established and build more density. And along with that, you get some incentives, and you're allowed to reduce your setbacks or change your parking or things along those lines. I think that there's an opportunity to do the same thing with the building code and allow some incentives and some exceptions from the building code if you're building affordable housing.
All right, that's a good policy suggestion, Christopher.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. The timelines, as I said before, it just having more of a collaborative environment with staff sometimes could be helpful rather than wait for the statutory 30-day review period to get comments. That could definitely help us in processing quicker. The building code, it's definitely increasing costs to our project and having, difficult time with that.
What I have found in my experience is those developments that were where the planning department had a staff assigned, the building department had a staff assigned, fire, any of the other principals that would be involved in the approval process would have regular workshops with the developer. Those projects seem to move forward in a more streamlined manner. Now, I know in Costa Mesa, they tended to be projects that like Segerstrom was building or Irvine Company and established people. So can you talk to us about whether you've utilized that kind of model in different cities where you had a team approach that helped you to get through the process faster? Anybody?
We're doing a big redevelopment in San Diego, and because it's large in Mission Valley, we've had some of people from the mayor's office involved and has helped us streamline through the process and working with our team, both land use and our in-house team. And it's been a big help, right? But I don't know if a smaller project can get that kind of person to get involved. And that person gets involved not only in approvals and permitting, but they got involved in historic approvals because we had a historic building. And so that, that was great. And I think the more we can have that done, the better it is because it really helped us. It helped our partner. And more importantly, it helped, the new stores get open. And then it's going to help us, produce the housing later, on because sort of one has to be done before the other. So, if we can get that person in there and really be the team leader for the, if there's somebody in the planning department or somebody who can then be, okay, I'm going to be your advocate within the whole city, all the departments, that from a developer's perspective would be great.
Yeah, you need a driver. Avery, any comments on this topic?
Yeah, something I want to talk about is in San Diego, a big holdup that we have sometimes is scheduling with SDG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric. That's all. Everyone's nodding on the panel here. That's a big problem that we have.
I've even had a problem with our Dana Point Harbor revitalization, but we got it fixed.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have a project that is completely ready to lease, but we're waiting on SDG&E to come to our property to give us the final clear before we can get the city out to give us that stamp of approval. So I would love to see SDG&E, try to move up their timelines a little bit, work closer with developers on getting that flow established. But something that has been really efficient for us is looking at third-party vendors that maybe work with SDG&E or work with the city of San Diego that kind of move some strings along and know exactly what to submit, what to say, who to work with in order to get some timelines pushed around.
Well, that brings up a good point. Can everybody comment on what's happening with solar? Because I'm getting people expressing concerns that we're not getting the solar permitting completed in time for people especially for large developments to get the solar installed. Is that a problem that you're experiencing?
Personally, not us, but maybe you gentlemen can speak.
We are exploring solar on one project, and it hasn't been a big delay on the city side. It's really figuring out how to facilitate it. Okay, yeah. So it's really getting it into the project in the right way and getting enough solar to produce, enough energy because old projects, have all kinds of things on the roof that keep you from putting the number of panels on there. But we haven't had a city issue at all.
But have the utility companies been able to get you your permitting done?
We're not at that stage yet.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Any
I know it's added a couple dollars a square foot at least to some of our projects with the new building code coming up and solar requirements. It's great to be able to have that option. It is, again, creating an affordability issue, though. The more I know that they're looking at home battery backup systems now as part of code updates, and those items just they continue to add cost to new housing.
Michael?
I think everybody that works for a utility company is smart and beautiful and very kind and nice. And I never say anything bad about them because I never, ever, ever want them to hurt me.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay. I don't know where we are on time. Are we okay? Okay, good. We have plenty of time. Okay. So I want to kind of change course a little bit and give you each an opportunity to talk about, I don't know if some of you have slides. Does anyone have? Okay. Give you each an opportunity to talk about some projects you're working on that you want to showcase. We can start with you, Joel, since you have the clicker.
I have the clicker and I have pictures. So this is Main Place Mall in Santa Ana, a large regional center that we're doing the residential development and some of the retail redevelopment on the project. So this is just an aerial showing two of the projects. One is built. It's called Paloma. Been very successful multifamily project, 350 units. And then we're in pre-development on the next one, which is right in the front, called Karina. And I'll give you some images of all these. Really, the dynamics of living near a mall. Some people would say, well, why would I want to do that? But we are fully leased on the first phase and at, rents that are, above projection. So pretty good. So here's some images of Paloma. It's really, really nice. And then you have the amenity of the mall too. So it's worked out really well. And I think it's a model that we're trying to do in many other places.
Is anybody here from Santa Ana, city of Santa Ana? Great job, Santa Ana. You are doing so much for affordable housing. Great job.
Here's an interior. To me, I'm looking at this. I'm like, it looks like a really nice hotel.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you're across from Mother's Market and you have a Starbucks over there.
And
there's a lot of amenities. You're by the bus station, the freeway.
We think that having housing and shopping together provide a really great mix. And the actual rents we're seeing around the country are, upwards of 10% higher than everywhere else because you can park your car once and you don't have to do it. So it's really nice.
Which is why I always wanted housing at
Here's
SoCo.
another. This is our newest project that we're working on right now. It's called Karina, and this one will be right in the front where the old Nordstrom was. So really a dynamic project, and I think this was going to even eclipse the Paloma.
Wow, great!
Here we go. That's another one that's just, as we call it, the money shot, right? But it looks. You have a deck up there with a pool and a very meaningful, change in the way that people live. Yeah.
Okay, so keeping in mind that number, $96,000 a year is low income qualifying resident. What are the rates for these apartments? What are they going to go for, like, per month on average?
A lot more than I want to pay. No. But we do have some affordable. Rob, the specifics on the affordable there too, right?
We are paying a loop fee to the city of Santa Ana. Their inclusionary housing require us about 15%. We're paying a loop fee based on the net rentals.
So they're paying an in lieu fee so Santa Ana can build housing somewhere else that's affordable. So okay. Sorry, I just feel like, everyone wants to pay that in lieu fee because it's easier. But at the same time, then, where are you going to build it, right? Yeah. There we go. Okay. All right. Did you have any more? Who was next in the slideshow? Do we know?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay, Christopher, here we go.
breeze through. Okay, so just a little bit. Intracorp Homes, we're a regional private builder based in Vancouver, British Columbia. We've got in the U.S., we have operations in the Seattle market, in Austin, Texas, and Southern California. We are predominantly looking at units from 40 on the small side to several hundred on the bigger multifamily projects. Couple examples of our recently closed out projects. We predominantly are really focused on infill. So we are locally building in LA County, Orange County, and San Diego County. The project I have to showcase here is one that was recently completed in Orange County in the city of Tustin. This is a 2-acre site that was formerly a walk-up mix of retail and office uses, located on Irvine Boulevard, and great location. There was just a high vacancy rate here. There was some deferred maintenance. But it was not zoned for residential, so we did not have we weren't afforded the housing element or the zoning code protections. And we collaborated with the city of Tustin on this, and we were able to take it through a pretty comprehensive entitlement process. But we felt, given the location, the close proximity to parks and schools, it had residential on 3 sides of it, and really in close location to Old Town Tustin. And so we worked with the city and collaborated. Ultimately, we built 40 units here. It was an entitlement process that took about 14 months, and it required a general plan amendment and a zone change. We did utilize state density bonus on this and provided 2 low-income units on site. And then in exchange for that, we were able to get slight reductions in some of our setbacks and open space. Building on tight infill sites like this, it's really just fitting a glove. And so every inch counts for fire access, for trash pickup, things like that. So being able to utilize the state density bonus here helped us, and it did provide a couple affordable units. So ultimately, we delivered 40 townhomes here. We have paired units and then also single detached units. They ranged right around 2,000 square feet with 2-car garages, and a lot of the units had rooftop decks, so really spectacular views. Definitely not an affordable project per se, or workforce housing. It was price points in the low $1 million range, but it definitely served a niche, and we had strong interest from the market for buying opportunities here, just based on the location, proximity to jobs, and had a good success with the project.
Is there a house for sale in Orange County for less than $1 million? I don't know.
No.
Maybe we'll get one on the Newport Mesa site. Okay, Avery, you're up next.
Awesome. Okay, so as I was talking about earlier, San Diego being landlocked and also now one of the most expensive places to live in our country. It's also important to talk about how in the 70s, that's when there was a big housing boom in San Diego. So there was lots of maybe 3 or 4 bedroom homes built on pretty big lots. And because of that now, this density program that our local government is incentivizing, as well as the state government, has really helped us find a way to build kind of a missing piece. Now, if I'm someone that's working like I am and I don't want roommates anymore, or I don't have the funds to maybe rent a 3-bed, 4-bath house, I don't really have a lot of options besides paying a ton of money, finding roommates. I don't know. I'm actually doing that right now. or renting something like this, something that SGRE builds. These are primarily 1 or 2 bedroom homes.
You got to click the clicker. It didn't go.
Which button do I click? Oh, the big green one? That makes sense. So before I talk about all this, our units are for the 1 or 2 bedrooms, as I mentioned, and they're for the working class. Now, when I talk about our program here, a lot of people, I think it sounds like we're small scale. So I just wanted to talk about how we have 21 projects throughout the city of San Diego, and then a little bit north too. You can see those few bullet points up in Carlsbad. And right now, under 2,000 units owned and controlled. So we're able to do quite a lot with this program. Now, this is a project I'm about to show you that's pretty standard right now, but we are scaling our model too to have some bigger units. So this is a 13,000 square foot lot, and it originally had 1 single family home. We try to find lots that are really underutilized or maybe are in transit areas, because that's another perk of the program with the density. We had 12 additional units created through value add infill, 7 market rate. On average, we get around 4,500 a month, and then, that's for our single family home. And then we have those smaller units, those infill, where we have some market rate and then some at median income, 110% medium income. So here's an example of one of our projects. This is on Hickorio. You can see the exterior. They really do look like homes, but they're built to rent units. The interior, we include all of the amenities that someone living on their own or with maybe their partner would want. So we have 10-foot ceilings. They make the space feel a little bit bigger. We have washer and dryers in unit. Most of the apartments in San Diego, you have to, grab your laundry basket and lug it down the stairs and then go 20 more feet, and then you have to pay a few dollars. So we have this in unit for our tenants, which is super nice, as well as modern finishes, things like that. We have a little island kitchen, so that way people don't have to worry about bringing a table. It's perfect for kind of that, I'd say 20 to 30 range, that middle housing we're talking about. And then just more of our amenities. You can see from the aerial photos, it doesn't look like there might not be a lot of space, but we really are thoughtful in the way we design, in a sense that we want everyone to feel like they're in their own community here. So as you walk through, they all have private balconies, and if you're on the bottom floor, you have a private turf, which is really nice, pet friendly, and on and on. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to pass it along to Michael to showcase his project.
So,
I love this.
Remember I was talking about the 3 things that we need to make a project feasible, which is land, money, and political will. That's to make a project feasible. To make it successful, it has to be a part of the community. It has to be seen as an asset in the community. And that's the way we approach affordable housing at Jamboree. We're not just housing people. We're allowing them to be woven into the fabric of the rest of the community. My new favorite city in Orange County is San Juan Capistrano, and there are a lot of...
Is anyone here from San Juan? All right, yay! 1 person. Or 2, 3.
Thank you. So for several reasons, for the past 40 years, they've been building a real city there, and they have a really nifty little downtown that they've built up around the Mission. They have strong retail. They've built a lot of housing. They've maintained a lot of housing, and they wanted to build affordable housing. The default position should be there's no place in San Juan Capistrano to build affordable housing. That's what a typical city council would do. The city's built out. They've done a good job. They've built a nice little city. There's no place to build affordable housing. But because they've spent the past 40 years building this nifty little city, they've been doing it out of a city hall that was literally in trailers. It was in temporary housing. All the offices in City Hall were built on essentially temporary buildings. So they had an idea. They said to us, we were meeting with them, and they said, what if we built housing on the City Hall site? So we took that idea and we said, well, I don't know, what if you build housing on the City Hall site? And we said, okay, we think that there's a way that we can do it. I'm not going to get into how complex it got because it got really, really complex, but I'm going to tell you really quickly. We bought the land. We divided it in half. We bought the land from them. They lent us the money to buy the land, and then they used the money that they lent us that we bought the land from them to build City Hall. And that's essentially what happened. So we took this underutilized site in San Juan Capistrano, right downtown San Juan Capistrano, accessible to transportation, accessible to all the other amenities that are there. And we divided it in half. We built them a brand new city hall, and we built 50 units of affordable housing. And over the past 4 years, as we were developing this project, I've probably been to City Council and Planning Commission a dozen times. And the reason I liked it is it's an old school city council. I know conceptually that council is mixed and there are Republicans and there are Democrats. After sitting through a dozen meetings, I couldn't tell you which one was which. Because they're
just community oriented.
This is a council that wants to take care of their city and wants to build their city, and they've been a fantastic partner throughout the whole thing. And when I was talking about the median bureaucrat in California at the city level is smart and educated and devoted and dedicated and mission oriented, that's very, very true with San Juan Capistrano. They have an amazing city manager. They have great economic development director, all of which were real partners on making this incredibly complex project happen. So this is the housing portion here. So I don't know the full motivations of the City Council of San Juan Capistrano. I know that they get affordable housing. They wanted to get affordable housing done, and they worked with us to help build what is really ultimately a beautiful project that's going to be serving. And here's the City Hall portion. Now we had to make some sacrifices. There is not a chambers in the City Hall. We couldn't make the chambers fit, but they have an offsite site to be able to do that. But other than that, they have a brand new city hall. They moved in at the end of last year, right before the new year. So it's something that we're immensely proud of. But it took that sort of creativity, it took that devotion, it took a very expert and hardworking staff to make that happen and to partner with us in a way that broke rules, created a new way of doing things, but it was that political will that got us there.
Well, and this is also an Orange County Housing Finance Trust and Orange County Healthcare Agency through our Mental Health Services Act funded project. So it's a great collaboration between the city, the county, and the community. I was at the grand opening, and I think, are there 10 veteran specific
That's
units?
Right.
10. And I met, just by happenstance, as we were pulling into the parking lot, there were some gentlemen in the parking lot having a smoke break. And I walked over to them and I said, "Hey, you guys live here now." And they told me their story. One man was a veteran who he had been just destitute and his life had really gone south. And he could not say enough about how joyful the process of moving into this development and meeting all of his new neighbors and having the wraparound services that were available and the community garden, the little community area. I got the chills meeting him. And then, as it turned out, he was the speaker, which I didn't know that, at the grand opening. So we are truly changing people's lives and making lives better for people by getting them housed, whether they're homeless and needing housing, whether they're just recent graduates from college and wanting to stay in this beautiful place. Who wouldn't want to stay in Orange County, right? Or whether they're, young professionals who've been recruited to come live in Orange County and work for one of our major employers here. We just have to do more. And I appreciate all the work that all of you have done. We heard all about, large projects, medium-sized projects, private, public, combo hybrids. And I hope that the panel offered you all something to think about and that you will help us to build more housing. He's holding up something. I can't see it, but I was closing us up. Oh,
you have Q&A.
Oh, Q&A. Okay.
Yes. Audience Q&A.
All right.
Seem to have followed the instructions.
All right. What was the instruction? A question is a statement with a question mark. Okay, first question. Okay, I'll open this up to anyone who wants to answer. What are your thoughts on a 50-year mortgage?
Bad idea.
No, yeah.
It's terrible. I also think it just is. It's tough to amortize that over 50 years and have equity built up in the real estate for the owner.
Yeah. More costs for the borrower, more risk for the lender. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Anybody that's looked at an amortization table knows that it's a bad idea. Here's my exception to that. Here's as it rolled out this week. This was the only thought I have. If you're able to subsidize, especially the early portions of that, if you're looking at a 1% or something, 250 basis points below the market in interest rate, then it's a good idea.
Yeah, well, good luck. Okay, Avery, any comments? Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. All right, next question. This is a longer question. This is a statement in the first two sentences, and then a question in the third. Okay. Well, I'll give it. Many affordable housing projects in OC and across California exist or are built with minimal parking, assuming residents will rely on public transit. I'm not sure that's why it's built with minimal parking. It's mostly so we can create more housing. But for many working families, transit isn't always a realistic option. That's right, because it takes 2 hours to get to work. That's my add-on. How can we balance affordability goals with transportation realities? Who wants to answer this question? Avery?
Sure. So, as I was saying, San Diego seems like it has a lot better things going on than OC with this, at least our company in this program.
Well, I don't know about that, but
in terms of the parking situation, where we build, it's in suburban neighborhoods where, again, we're talking about these single-family homes built on these huge lots. So there's not a lot of cars already in some of the neighborhoods that we're building.
Swap, yeah.
Okay, how about this? Perfect. Thank you. So there's not a lot of cars in the neighborhoods where we are building, which is great. So when we're building projects like Hickorio that I showed earlier, we actually find that our residents can park on that same exact street, if not a street away, and still be able to walk with their groceries or whatever else in these communities. Because they're also in suburbs, they're safe, which is nice. So if people, maybe if you're a young woman like myself walking back from her car late at night, you're not as worried. Maybe it's my voice.
But what about Thanksgiving or your quinceañera? What do you do with all your guests for parking?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the trade-offs. Some people will have to park further sometimes, and that's just a part of it.
It's tough. Anybody else want to tackle this question?
I think it is tough. I mean, a subterranean parking stall is anywhere from $30,000 to $45,000 in construction costs, and that's just the direct cost to build it. So it's a trade-off with the affordability. And I've toured some really great affordable projects in San Diego and Bankers Hill and other areas where you have just great walkability and better public transportation. And so it seems to work where you can get less parking and more units. But yeah, trade-off.
Well, like you're building at Main Place Mall, right? And there's parking, a lot of parking there, but it wasn't built to anticipate residential. But you have all the amenities.
Right, but we also build enough parking for our projects too, and maintain a good ratio of parking. At large shopping centers like that, used to be built, there were 4 to 5 spaces per 1,000 square feet. That's come down a bit because it just you don't need that much parking, but we still build structured parking for each residential project. Yeah.
Michael, on the affordable side, we always want to get more units, less parking.
My vision is that everybody should have a safe, decent, affordable place to live and a cheap, efficient way to get around. So those sometimes will conflict with each other. If you're going to get both, you have to do first one, then the other. So do you wait for the transit to build the housing, or do you wait for the housing to build the transit? We think you got to build the housing first. So And in order to do the housing, you have to restrict the parking. Whenever I have to fill out like my profession, I usually put affordable housing developer, but I really should put parking consultant, because that's about where I spend 60% of my time. So it's something that we think about all the time. With reduced parking, and in order to be a good neighbor, you have to have parking mitigation plans. You have to be creative. You have to think about it. What happens if we park something at half a space per unit because people coming from homelessness don't have cars? But what if they stabilize and they get successful and they buy a car and then they want to park it there? How do you deal with that? And you only have half a space per unit. Well, you talk to the neighbor, you talk to the church down the street, you talk to the retail place across the way. You come up with those mitigation plans to do it. So taking the reduced parking comes with a responsibility and obligation to be, if we're going to be good citizens, we have to plan for that until the transit, which I know is coming eventually. Until it gets there, we have to have a plan to deal with it.
Is it coming? Well, we hope it's coming. Okay, one more question.
Which one? Or two from realtors. Well, I think our email answer that one. Parking, we already covered.
Okay, here's an interesting question. This is from OC Realtors. Do you think we could look to and get ideas from Europe how to build small units and high density development? Anyone want to tackle that question? Who's been to Europe? Well, I can tell you that, one of the challenges with that kind of a model is that as Californians, as Americans, we have this idea that you can't, unless you live on Balboa Island, you can't have a tiny little narrow street, right, with housing built right up on top of the street. But for some reason, it works. It works on Balboa Island. It works in some other places in the country, but it's not something that many people really embrace. So I don't know if that's the answer, but we're getting the hook. So unless anyone wants to respond.
I mean, it helps if the template for your city is 1,000 years old.
Yeah. Good answer. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your contributions. It's been a great panel. Thank you all for joining us here today.
So before you go, we really want to acknowledge just a fantastic panel. This is not your typical group talking about housing problems. They're here talking about solutions and taking things to scale. So again, let's give them another round of applause. And I think we very much want to acknowledge the gracious hospitality of the Hyatt. That team has worked very well and in these difficult times. And last but not least, the ComLab team, and particularly where is Nara, for managing a very challenging morning and afternoon. Please take a few seconds to scan the QR code on each table and provide feedback. They actually do take the feedback. There's a strategic planning session for next year. They actually listen and take that. Janice, our president, reads them carefully. And also sign up for the newsletter. Last but not least, if you didn't get a self-parking validation card, please do it on the way out. And those of you, just a reminder, this may surprise you, not all of you fit through the gates at the same time. So either be patient, enjoy the networking, or run out there and be the first one out. So you do get validated parking, but it's a mixed blessing. So again, thank you. We look forward to seeing you. Have a happy Thanksgiving and a holiday season. See you in 26.
I was getting, yeah. You were getting called sensei. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, stay for the photo. I'll tell you, Avery's on 20 minutes notice. You
And I can't sweep you off of your feet. Will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheek? Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. And baby,